Hi friends, welcome back. Today we're talking about transforming parent functions, and I love this because nobody showed me this when I was in Algebra 2, and it makes graphing a lot easier, especially if you know this for pre-calc as well. So grab your notebook. As I always say, you're going to want to write these things down. First things first, here's our example. We have y equals 3, absolute value 2x plus 2. Close your absolute value and then minus 3. Now, the first thing you have to ask yourself, is there something next to x? Are you multiplying your x by something? If you are, you absolutely must factor it, even if it's weird. Like if you have this 2x minus 1, you would still have to factor out a 2, making this x minus 1/2. Now, normally we don't factor if we're going to get a fraction, but you do have to do it when you're doing these. So taking a look at this, we're going to need to factor out a 2 from here. So that's going to give us y equals the 3 times the absolute value of 2, quantity x plus 1, absolute value minus 3. Okay, so here are the steps. You're going to factor, you're going to divide your x by x, opposite of adding and subtracting x, you're going to do that to your x, multiplying your y, and then adding and subtracting your y. That'll make a little bit more sense in just a second here, but you may want to pause the video and write those down. So let's talk about this. First thing we have to do is identify what is our parent function here, and in this case it's y equals absolute value of x. So remember, if we have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, that's going to give us +2, +1, 0, +1, +2. Now what you have to do is, and this is where order is vitally important. Remember, you're always going to multiply and divide before you add and subtract. So when we're talking about our x's, first thing we want to do is we're going to divide by whatever's next to that x. So divide by 2. And when we do that, we get -1, -1/2, 0, 1/2, and 1. Then what we do is, remember, when it's attached to the x, we do the opposite. So here we're going to -1. So let's draw some arrows so that way you can see how we do this. Okay, so we're going to -1 from here, so that gives us -2, -1.5, -1, -1, and +1/2 will give us -1/2 or 0.5 either way. -1 and +1 will give us 0. Okay, we're done with the x's there. So let's talk about our y's now. For our y's, we want to do, like I said, multiplication and division before we do any adding and subtracting. So in this case, we want to take this 3, whatever's attached out at the front there, we're going to multiply our output, our y, by that. So if we do that, we get 6, 3, 0, 3, and 6. Easy peasy. Now we're going to take this guy and we're going to do -3. Remember, if it's attached to the x, we do the opposite, but this one, we do it just like it looks. So -3, we get 3, 0, -3, and then 0, and then 3. And so here's what I was thinking about. So what I was thinking is, okay, let's circle these that we're going to be graphing. Here's our x, here's our y. And what I'm going to do is transfer that to our table over here. So here's the equation that we've been working on, is this guy right up here. And so our x and y chart looks like this. We have x, y, and so we have -2, -1.5, -1, -1/2, and 0. And then for our y's, we have 3, 0, -3, 0, and 3. Okay, so now we're able to graph this a little easier because we've got our xy chart nice and clean over there. So what we do is we go over -2, and you'll see when I've sketched this out, because I saw that there were decimals in here, I went ahead and did every other one. So we go over -2, up 3. So that's going to be right along here. Over -1.5, up 0. Over -1, down -3. Whoops, and let me extend this guy out. -3 there. Okay, so over -1, down -3. That's right here. Over -1/2, down 0, and then over 0, up 3. And so we know that our parent graph is this is supposed to be a V, and I think I started to draw it like a parabola, so my apologies. This is why you should use a straight edge, kids. Don't be like me. So if we go in there with a straight V like that, we know it's a V because it's y equals absolute value of x. So you can make that look like a V. So now you know. Looking at this one though, you'll see that this is we find our x and it's squared. So our parent graph is going to be y equals x squared. And so we go back and we look at our xy chart for that guy. If we do -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, we would have +4, +1, 0, 1, and 4. Okay, we're going to do the same order for these ones. I see that there's something attached to our x, so we're going to have to rewrite this guy. So let's go ahead and do that. Y equals -1/2, and then I'm going to use some brackets instead of doing double parentheses. So I'm going to take out a 2, and that leaves me with x minus 3, absolute value, or not absolute value, sorry, brackets squared plus 2. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is work on our x, and we're going to do what is attached to our x. So this negative, or this 2 here, we're going to divide by 2. When we do that, we get -1, -1/2, 0, 1/2, and 1. Then what we're going to do is we do the opposite. So we're not going to -3, we're going to add 3 to our x. So 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and then 3 plus 1 will give me 4. Okay, now let's look at our y's, or our output. Remember, we want to do our multiplication first. So I see that this is -1/2. So we're going to times everything by -1/2. So that's going to give me -2, -1/2, 0, -1/2, and -2. Then what we're going to do is add 2. So plus 2 here. So that's going to give me 0, and then 2 and -1/2 will give me 1.5, and then 2, and then 1.5, and 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph these points out. And if it helps, you can lightly sketch this like here. Say, oh, nope, I don't want those guys. So we'll just cross those out for now. We'll say 2, 0. So we go over 2 up 0. Over 2.5 up 1.5. So over 2.5 up 1.5. Over 3 up 2. Over 3.5 up 1.5. Over 4 up 0. Bam. And this one does look like a parabola, not like a V, like I was doing on the other guy. So this looks like a parabola, and that's good because our parent graph is a quadratic, which is a parabola. Hopefully this helps you understand how to graph these parent functions a little bit better. If you have any questions, let your teacher know. Otherwise, we will see you next time.